Someone told you that talking to yourself means you've lost focus. Someone told you that getting stuck on small things means you're overthinking. Someone told you that sitting quietly while everyone else is talking means you have nothing to say. They were looking at the right signals. They just read them wrong. IQ doesn't measure how much you know. It measures how your brain processes information, pattern recognition, working memory, how well you hold something complex without losing the thread. And when a brain is built to do that, really do that, it doesn't always look clean from the outside. Sometimes it looks distracted, quiet, overly careful. The kind of person someone describes as in their own world, as if that's supposed to be the problem. Not because something is wrong, because something is working, just not in the way most people expect. Let's look at 3 of those signals, the ones most people misread.
Most people think it means you've lost focus, or that you're a little odd. And to be fair, from the outside, it probably does look a little odd. Researchers call it self-directed speech, and it does something very specific. A study by Daniel Swigley and Gary Lupian found that saying something out loud, even quietly, even just a word, triggers a different kind of processing than thinking it silently. The spoken word helps the brain search more efficiently, like running the same process twice, and the second run catches what the first one missed. Vygotsky noted something similar in children. They talk themselves through tasks to stay on track.
And adults do the same thing when the mental load gets high. Think of it this way. When a computer is working on something large and complex, the fan gets louder. Not because something is broken, because the system is working harder than usual. Self-directed speech is something like that. When what's happening inside becomes too large to process quietly, the brain finds an outside channel, language, out loud. Not distraction, overflow from a process that got too big to stay silent.
This one gets people labeled as anxious, overthinking, too sensitive. It can look like spending 4 minutes deciding what to eat for lunch. It is technically that, but it's also something else. Research at SUNY Downstate Medical Center found that people with higher mental ability tend to run more detailed pictures of what could happen before they act. They can see more possible outcomes, good ones and bad ones, with more detail than the situation might seem to need. And a study in personality and individual differences found that people with strong verbal ability tend to worry more often, not because they're more anxious by nature, but because they have more mental tools to build out what could go wrong.
Here's what's actually happening. A brain that processes in high detail doesn't experience situations as separate events. It experiences them as pieces inside a larger pattern. So when something feels slightly off, even in something small, the brain runs it again, and again, and sometimes a third time, just to be sure.
From the outside, that looks like getting stuck. From the inside, the process is still running. And the strange part is, you usually can't stop it by deciding to, because it's not a choice, it's just how that brain moves through the world. Not anxiety, a brain operating in high-resolution mode. In most rooms, the person who talks the most gets read as the smartest. Loudest voice, most airtime, most confident sounding. Must know the most. It's a reasonable assumption. It's also frequently wrong. But research on pattern recognition, one of the clearest and most consistent markers of intelligence, suggests something different is happening in the quiet ones. Studies show that highly intelligent people often prefer depth over surface in social situations, not because they don't like people, but because they're moving through the room differently. While others talk, they're tracking something else. Tone shifts, small things that don't quite fit, what isn't being said.
This is what psychologists call the ability to find structure and pattern beneath what's visible on the surface, and it requires something specific. Staying in observation mode without the urge to perform. Holding back is not doing nothing. It's reading the room at a level most people don't notice. These are 3, but there are more. Preferring to be alone, not because you dislike people, but because some environments cost more energy than others. Asking more questions than giving answers, because certainty feels less honest than curiosity. Saying I don't know without discomfort, because a brain that processes carefully knows exactly how much it doesn't know. Changing your mind when something new arrives, not because you were wrong before, but because you updated.
None of these look impressive. They don't photograph well. They won't get you noticed in a meeting. But here's what connects all of them. They're not personality quirks someone decided to have. They're signals of how a brain organizes complexity. And for a long time, maybe your whole life, you might have read those signals as something wrong with you. But what if they were never the problem? What if they were just misread?
But here's what stays with me. These 3 signals, they all came from the same place. Not from trying, from how a brain like this is built to move through the world. And that raises a question worth sitting with. What does it mean to be intelligent in a world that only learned to notice one version of it? Notice which one felt familiar.